Welcome everyone, Guitar Breakdowns. Today we're going to be doing Queens of the Stone Age, Feet Don't Fail Me Now. Really interesting song. It's got kind of an 80s Gary Newman kind of vibe to it. All the affected vocals, the synth that's going on in there, the spooky intro, and the octaves, the kind of disco-y electro octaves that are being played on all the guitars and the bass throughout this song. Really interesting, lots of interesting stuff going in there, different time signatures and things like that. So let's get into it. First of all, the guitar is tuned down a whole step, which if you don't know what that means, the low E goes down to a D, the A goes down to a G, the D goes down to a C, the G goes down to an F, the C goes down to the B goes down to an A, and the E goes down to a D. Nice deep sound, gives it a lot more weight, and they're not actually using a huge amount of gain, but tuning it down gives it so much weight. I'd actually put money on that they're using single coil guitars on this, because there's so much attack, and really heavy with the pick, really heavy striking. So the first riff that you hear after the intro, we're not going to get into the intro, no one needs to know about that, is based around this sort of F sharp shape, which obviously isn't F sharp because we're tuned down, but let's refer to it that way. So you've got your finger on the 2nd fret on the low E, and then on the 4th fret of the D string, and these notes are played totally independently. There's no bleed between them, there's no kind of none of that. They're really independent with, as I say, lots of pick attack. So this is the main riff. One of the guitars that you hear is so you've got to really kind of mute the notes that aren't being played. The interesting thing is there is a second guitar playing at the same time, which is playing half time. So you've got the first guitar going, and then the second guitar going, which, as you can see, in the intro before the singing starts, it has this, which is the D string, 2nd fret, and then 4th fret. But when the singing starts in, it seems to drop down to the low E's to go. So it matches the first guitar. Then you've got this kind of fill that happens, which is a B power chord, an A power chord, and then a low E. So there's a nice sort of upbeat feel to it. Not on the E actually. So then, yeah, the singing comes in, and you've got it's really spanky sound, real loads of pick attack. Then just before the chorus kicks in, there's a little fill on the guitar, which actually reoccurs in the chorus. But that fill is on the D string, 4th fret, down to the 2nd fret. Then you're onto the A string on the 4th fret, letting go, and then catching it on the 2nd fret. So with that nice bend in there. Which then leads you nicely into that chorus, which we'll go through. I'll play it through slowly now, and then we can break it apart. Essentially what you've got is a repeated first section, and then the second section each time round is slightly different. go through that. So this is the first half that repeats each time. So you've got a B power chord, slide up on the A string, 5th fret, 7th fret, then an A power chord, and then sliding down on the A string, 7th fret to 4th fret, and then 2 hits on that F sharp. Okay. Okay, so that's the bit that repeats every time. So so on this first time round, it ends with that same intro, the riff that leads us into it. Second time round. This time is 4th fret on the D string, let go to the 2nd fret on the D string, 4th fret on the A string, and then up onto the 2nd fret on the G string, and resolving on 4th fret on the D string. Then back into the first half. And this time it is on the D string, 4th fret to 2nd fret, A string, 4th fret to 2nd fret, and again. And then ends with the B power chord, back into the verse. And then we have another chorus, and that leads us then into at the end of the second chorus. So we come out of the second chorus and we go into this muted section. So we're up playing like an E power chord with an open low E, and it's a sort of chugging up and down muted feel, which then leads us nicely into this midsection, which is kind of the same riff, just played in different keys. So we come out of this, we're basically playing the same main riff, but we're playing it in C now. So we're up on the low E on the 8th fret, and the D string on the 10th fret. So it's, and then we play the same thing but in the key of A, and then back to its original key of sort of F sharp. Then we get into this nice sort of time signature change where the guitars are playing in 3s but the drums are playing in 4s. I really love this. So it's octaves. We're starting in sort of a sort of C sharp sort of area on the 4th fret of the A string and the 6th fret of the G string, and it's all upstrokes. So you're sort of almost hitting a muted on the beat and then coming up. Okay, so we're going from the 4th fret, 5th fret, and then onto the low E on the 5th fret. And then we get this nice sort of one of the guitars just drops right down to play a simplified version of the main riff. So I think it's something like. And then when we go back into this 3s section, it's really nice because there's another guitar that's playing on the beat. So this one's on the off beat. Okay, so that's all off beat. We've got we get a guitar that comes in on the beat, which is playing octaves up on the 9th fret of the A string, 11th fret of the G string, all, as I say, on the beat. Just stays there and does a bit of a fill, which seems to go. So kind of chromatic walk up on the G string from the 9th, 10th, 11th fret. Then this is where the song is all building up to. As we're seeing, there's guitars all playing off each other. One's playing half time, one's playing on the beat, one's playing off the beat. At this point, they finally all come together, and you get this really heavy riff. Everyone's syncopated, everyone's doing the same thing, bass, guitars, and it's just a real simple, heavy version of the main riff, really. And it's a so that is, it's all on the E string, so we're going open to 2nd fret, and it's a real chug. It's that 1, 2, 3, 4. When you hit these notes, it's a real heavy hit. You can hear. So it goes open to 2nd fret, then 5th, 4th, 2nd fret. That is so good, and the simplicity of it. If they were playing power chords, it would just get so muddy and it would lose its attack. So it's a really nice thing to think about when your heaviness doesn't necessarily mean more. As I say, with this tune, it's got fairly low gain on the guitars, but the aggressiveness of how they're hitting it with the picks and sort of paring away stuff that isn't needed, additional notes, to just have single string riffs and played really aggressively, that can actually be heavier. So that's pretty much it for this song. The only thing is there's a quiet section that follows this heavy riff, which has some volume swells in it, which I'm sure they're doing with a volume pedal. I don't actually have one. So another way you can do that is by just hammering on. It's the same octave shape up on the 9th fret on the A string and 11th fret on the G string. Another way you can do it is by just hammering on. The trick with that is you don't want to be hearing the hammer on. You don't want to be hearing that you do that first and then fade in. Okay, so that's it. A lot to take in with this song. The transitioning from each section, from verse to chorus to middle section to playing in threes, that's all something that comes with practice. But there's a lot you can take from this song for when you're writing your own. Things to consider, things to think about leaving out, ways to make your guitar fit in with someone else's guitar, different ways of approaching the song. And I hope you find it useful. So like, subscribe, do all that other good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.